Welcome back to Obscured Reality. Mark and Stephanie back with ya. All right, we are continuing the trend.
Oh,
Not just the UFO trend, but Vandenberg Air Force Base in California trend.
oh,
That's right. Last week's video already posted about the Red Square, right? Over
Yep.
Vandenberg, seen a long time ago. Well, we have a much older story. This is a popular one. You guys may have heard of it. This is the 1964 Vandenberg UFO and the missing missile footage.
Ooh.
Yeah. Let's see what's going on. So, in 1964, during the height of the Cold War, the United States Air Force captured what may be the most extraordinary UFO incident ever recorded on official military film. Maybe the most extraordinary. We need the film, right?
Mm-hmm.
The event unfolded at Vandenberg Air Force Base during a routine missile test, a moment meant to demonstrate American technological strength. But according to the man in charge of documenting the launch, this is Lieutenant Robert Jacobs, something else appeared on camera that day. Something he insists was not from this world. This is a story of the disappearing missile footage and the UFO that intercepted a nuclear test warhead. Now, we've mentioned this on the show before. We've never actually gone into it.
Nope.
But we have lightly touched on this one. It is interesting. So, this occurred September 15th in 1964. The Air Force carried out a test launch of an Atlas missile. Coinciding. No. The objective, fire a dummy nuclear warhead, track its accuracy, capture the entire flight for analysis. Lieutenant Robert Jacobs, who was then a young officer, led a team assigned to record the test using a high-precision telescopic camera positioned on a mountain over 100 miles away. This was a standalone procedure until it wasn't. What Jacobs claims his camera captured has remained controversial for decades. Now, it may go into it, it may not, but I believe it was him and one other officer had to go out to this mountain range far, far away, inland, obviously, over 100 miles away, and they were testing, they were filming it. The military wanted to capture the launch from different angles. So during post-launch review, Jacobs and other officers screened the high-speed tracking film. The missile arced perfectly into space. The separation of stages was normal. Everything looked routine until an object entered frame. Now, this was within the atmosphere, I believe, when this object was seen. Everything looked routine, right? Jacob described it as a disc-shaped craft, brightly glowing, moving with intelligence and precision, interacting directly with the test warhead. According to his account, the object made 4 passes around the warhead, firing what appeared to be beams of light at the warhead.
Okay.
Immediately after the interaction, the warhead began to tumble as if disabled. This detail is what alarmed the officers in the room. The footage didn't just show a UFO, it showed something interfering with America's most sensitive weapons technology. Now, they said it went into space. It went fine. But this thing interacted with it and the warhead started tumbling. So the warhead didn't just come off. I'm guessing they mean the whole missile. I don't know, because they said everything went normally other than that.
Say that doesn't sound pretty normal, but...
Well, obviously that part is not, but the missile arced perfectly into space. So into space is, in my mind, kind of the completion of the event. When did this object interfere with the missile? In the atmosphere or in space? Way I've always heard the story, I took it as within the atmosphere. I'm curious what kind of telescopic camera they had that was mobile that would see this from 100 miles away. And I mean, I guess you may be able to see it go into space, but I'm thinking of like the SpaceX launches,
Yeah.
right? I can see them from Vandenberg from my house.
Really?
As soon as they get high
They're
enough
actually kind of cool.
above the horizon, which isn't long, it's just like a minute. Um, Especially at night after the sun goes down, it's awesome to watch. It's just this trail of crap coming out that's just super brightly glowing from the reflection of the sun, because the sun's gone down, but this thing gets so high so fast, obviously it is visible to the sun, right?
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. But you kind of only really see it until it gets into space, right? You need oxygen to burn that fuel, and they're not doing that in space. So with a missile like this, you're getting an arc that's gonna, this is why they arc missiles, the rockets, and things that going into space, is to get them into that perfect trajectory, that orbit, because they're not really firing much in space. They may have some side thrusters, something like that, right? But are you really seeing that with a telescopic camera? So we need a few more details, of course.
The only thing I know about that is that the formula they use to do that trajectory of into space in the arc is based on like Newton and his Fig Newton, Sir Fig Newton, and his calculations of how far away the moon is from Earth. Like, that's crazy to me that arc is based upon a man from that long ago's calculations and his creation of calculus.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
wild.
now they can solve all that crap in 2 seconds with AI.
Yeah, based on his calculations, but
And they have
still.
the unlocked versions.
Mm.
So I'm not positive atmosphere or in space. I'm curious on the camera they used.
Yeah.
Why? Because clearly it's a mobile camera. So is it like mine, a really good camera that any of us can buy with a 600 millimeter lens? Like, it's got to be bigger than that.
I
don't know.
would kind of feel like it.
Yeah, we need some details.
Next time they shoot one off by your house, you should try to see how far you can track it with your camera.
Oh, I can track it all the way up, because you have, I mean, you can see the rocket separations, the 2 rockets separating off of them.
That's pretty cool.
But you got to keep in mind, those are glowing. I mean, they have fire literally coming out the back, so you see it.
Yeah.
But right before these things get into space, that goes out. You don't see the thing anymore. It's gone.
Okay.
So that's what I'm getting at is, how exactly when did this object interact with the missile within the atmosphere or not? Because you'll see it during the day too. You won't get all that trail behind it, but you'll see the rocket because of that glow. So Jacob remembers the reaction vividly. So superiors froze. No one spoke. The implications were too big. After the footage ended, we kind of drama down the story a little bit. I'm not into the superiors froze. No one spoke. Sorry, guys. I'm not going to be overly dramatic. I know this bullshit. After the footage ended, unless we're doing a newscast. So after the footage ended, Jacob says 2 men he'd never seen before, not from his chain of command, ordered him to never speak of this again. I mean, we hear this all the time. The film was confiscated. He never saw it again. No copy was returned to his unit. From that day forward, it vanished. Jacobs claims the Air Force aggressively pressured him to stay silent. He says he was told the event never happened, there was no footage, and he was to forget it immediately.
Yeah.
For nearly 15 years, he did.
Same old song.
Yep. Then in the early 80s, Jacobs began discussing the incident publicly. He wrote about it, he lectured on it, he named the base, he named the date, and he insisted the footage was real. That's when the pushback began. The Air Force responded hard. Key points from the dispute: the Air Force said no such footage exists. They said Jacobs was misremembering events. They claimed there was no record of any UFO incident during that launch. Other officers publicly contradicted Jacobs, but several things complicate the official denial. Jacobs never changes his story. For over 40 years, his account remained consistent, detail for detail. Now, I mean, that is worth something, I think. But in my mind, I don't know how much that really is worth, because that doesn't prove that someone's being truthful or untruthful. You could probably create a pretty decent story about something having to do with UFOs, and you take a month and you practice it every day. You practice, you write down the details, what you want to happen. You practice talking about it, to the mirror, to the wall, whatever. And as you do that, you come up with new things. Oh, I should probably fill in this. That looks like there's a hole here, blah, blah, blah. And eventually you get it dialed in if you take your time. And as long as you can keep a straight face and talk serious and try to talk in the normal manner that you would with telling something truthful, well, these people you're talking to aren't professional polygraphers. They're not professional facial expression people, right? So, I cool. His story's never changed. That does count for something, but that's not the holy grail, to me. Number two, he had no reason to invent it. He was not selling a book. He gained nothing professionally. The story actually harmed his career. That does help. It matters to an extent if he's not making money on it. The scenario matches the other nuclear-related UFO reports. Objects interfering with missiles and warheads has been documented repeatedly from the 60s onward. Number four, a second officer later supported him, partially. Retired Major Florenz Mansman confirmed that he saw the footage. It showed a disc-shaped object. The film was confiscated by agents, and Jacobs was ordered to remain silent. Mansman's affidavit stands as the strongest corroboration Jacobs ever received. So, with that said, I would want more information into the relationship between those two. Have they ever met? I would assume so. Did they work with each other daily? Were they friends outside of work? Some of these things would matter, potentially matter. The missing film. No copy of the 1964 footage has ever resurfaced, not through FOIA, whistleblowers, unofficial leaks. If the film exists, it's held in deep classified storage. If it does not, then multiple military officers, including those with technical expertise, somehow misinterpreted an event on film in identical ways. Both possibilities raise serious questions. Well, that's not 100% true. There's a third option. Third option is he's lying. I'm not claiming he's lying. I tend to believe this one. I've read about this one for years now, over a decade. I believe him, but let's be honest. There are other options here. He could be lying too. It doesn't mean he misinterpreted something. He could have been lying. But why? So why does the incident matter? The Jacobs case remains one of the most significant in UFO research because of three core elements. It allegedly shows UFO physically interacting with a nuclear warhead. No other case includes filmed evidence of direct interference, but then again, where is the video? So does that even matter? It involved highly trained military officers. These were not amateurs. These were specialists in missile tracking and optics. Okay. The footage disappeared immediately. Even within the military, that is not standard protocol. So that third one and the first one, yeah, but prove it ever existed. Do those two options even matter here?
Right.
The legacy. Today, Jacobs is retired, but he's never recanted. He still maintains the object was a UFO. And let's be real, UFO, unidentified flying object, not aliens. Who knows what it is, what it was. The footage was real. The government hid it, and suppression followed. His closing statement in one interview summed up the incident better than any investigator ever could. Quote, "We filmed a UFO shooting a beam at an American missile, and they told me it never happened, but it did. The missing film remains one of the greatest lost pieces of military UFO evidence until it resurfaces, if it ever does. The 1964 missile test incident will continue to stand as one of the most haunting and unresolved encounters in the history of nuclear era America." So,
Okay.
I've seen a lot on this. I've seen videos on this. I don't know if documentaries or not or what, but I've seen videos put out that are obviously fake, but showing this thing flying around. And, I recall a bit
An
of
artist rendition.
whatever. Fake.
Okay.
I recall some things from the story, obviously,
Mhm.
but they didn't see it when they were filming. It wasn't until they brought it back and put it on whatever they put it on back in 1964 to watch it,
Yeah.
And I'm saying that because what are we talking about? Something hooked up to a TV? Are we talking about a projector with a whoop on a wall? We don't know.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until they watched the footage that they saw it. Now, I think it says something that he waited so long to come out with it. That's probably because of his career. Let's just hypothetically speak as if this whole thing's 100% true.
Mhm.
Then that would fall in line, right? Especially with the stigma and how bad. We've always heard the claims of people being just interrogated and threatened over seeing things
Yep.
that work in the military or
Mhm.
government. That adds up. He didn't try to sell anything allegedly. If that's true, then that's good. But we don't really know, right? Where's the video? There clearly were incidents, UFO incidents, things like that way prior to this, as the story mentions. So there's always the possibility he was interested in that stuff, just like we are,
Mhm.
and maybe decided to concoct a story, see where it would go, and maybe play off of it from there. But then again, why wait so long to tell it? So it kind of adds up and it kind of doesn't.
Yeah.
You could go for either side on that. But I think this is a pretty interesting one. I would tend to put a little more faith in this story, just because we have the story that we just published last week about the red square light thing that was seen over Vandenberg as well.
Mhm.
And that's not the first time that's happened. And I do believe that story. What it is, who the fuck knows? It could be some insanely advanced holographic technology. We don't know. But I believe it happened. I believe they saw something. I believe they saw what they think they saw. What it was, though, who knows? But this isn't the only story to come out of Vandenberg. So this was obviously way prior as well to the Red Square incident, which is good. So I believe the story. I don't, I'd have to see some documentaries or something with this guy in them. I'd like to see him talking and get a feel for him as best you can through a TV. But I believe it happened. I mean, obviously they launched the missile. What's the one thing we got that's in all the other ones? Nuclear, right? Nuclear warhead.
Yep.
And there's documented incidents of these things showing up around our nuclear bases. I mean, it's been proven that the stories are on file, that the reports were made.
I mean, we also had another discussion a while back, actually, about the 10, I believe it was, missiles up in a different base, more
That's
in the
exactly what I'm talking about.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Up in like North Dakota, somewhere up there.
Yeah, so like Montana, something
Yeah.
in the middle of absolute nowhere.
A lot
Yeah,
of our
the
bases are up
hovering and
there
like
for
the
the nuclear
yeah.
missiles.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. In that one,
Yep.
separate containment units of nuclear missiles, all independent of each other, meaning even if you could figure out from the outside how to cut the power and turn one off somehow magically, which you wouldn't be able to do, um, that's only going to take out one. You still have all the others to take out, right?
Mhm.
And yeah, I mean, I don't know. I believe the story. I believe the guy, at least up till now. What it was that really happened, hey, I don't know. Like I said,
Would
we
like
need
to see
we
the
need
video.
we need info on that camera
Yeah, that's
because you know you're over 100 miles away.
yeah.
Vandenberg is well over 100 miles away from my house, and we see it go up. It also comes towards us. It goes out over the ocean south, which goes right by us.
Mhm.
That helps. But I would question what I'd be able to see with my 600 millimeter lens if I could actually track it completely zoomed in by hand. Um, but I don't know. If they're 100 miles inland from Vandenberg, you got to remember this thing's getting shot off from Vandenberg, most likely out over the ocean and south. So it's going away from these guys at a stupidly insane speed.
Mhm.
I'm curious. And now that I'm thinking about it, I'm pretty sure the event happened while it was in the atmosphere. So I don't know what they mean by the warhead tumbled. Did the warhead come off and it tumbled out? Does it work like that? I don't know.
Hmm.
But did they, was the warhead shot from the tip of the rocket? The whole rocket doesn't go into space and they shot that off when it was getting close. It was still in view to the camera. I don't know. But I'm just saying, I'm not even questioning it. I'm just saying these are questions we need answers to really get a feel for it.
I need a lot more of the details of the entirety of the situation and the circumstances.
Yeah, these are things that always come up, it seems. So give more details. People are interviewing him. You got to ask more questions. It's no different than 3i Atlas right now. What one of the biggest questions that's I think would solve this whole thing. The problem starts with Avi Loeb. Nothing against him. I like him. He's a good guy. I trust him. He has always maintained from beginning it's most likely a comet, right? But he's throwing out these hypotheticals because of all of the oddities with this thing. It's still till right now. Things keep popping up.
Yeah.
And it's so crazy. But it could all be solved with one question. And he hasn't said anything about this to my knowledge, and nobody has asked this question. Would a manufactured object meant for space travel sublimate? Sublimation is when the comet gets closer, like 3i Atlas, when it was approaching our solar system, before it even entered, it started sublimating. The surface that was facing the sun gets heated up. The dry ice, or there's another form of ice, but that starts melting, right? And obviously you're not going to have the liquid up there, but it comes out, gas, particles, whatever, and that's sublimation. And then boom, that stuff gets blown back by the solar wind, the solar radiation, and you have now the coma and you have the tail, which allows you to not see it. The coma is a technological craft, a man-made or a manufactured craft going to sublimate? I would argue most likely not, unless it's made out of dry ice. if you have a craft that sublimates, your craft is no longer worthy. So the whole thing could probably be answered with that one question being answered. So I don't know. I like the story. I like the Red Square story better. However, I do believe this. I've seen stuff on it before. I'm not just going based off this story that we're reading tonight, but I've seen videos on this and I've read about this for a long time. I believe it.
All right.
I believe him. I mean, I question what it was that actually really happened or he saw. You know, I'm not saying it's obviously it's a UFO. It's unidentified if it happened, right? But you know, we're not saying aliens. Who knows what it was? They could have been testing it with a dummy warhead because they were really wanting to test something else.
That is also very standard and typical of our government. So,
so what do you think about this one? Have you heard it before? I mean, I know we've talked about it a little bit.
We've talked about it a little bit, but outside of that, no. Really interesting. It definitely piques the curiosity that it is a base that we have spoken about before in for circumstance and instances. However, yeah, I would really, really like to see that video and have a lot more answers or a lot more questions answered. There we go. A lot more answers questioned. What the fuck?
100%.
So I'm going to say cool oddity. Definitely would like more information on that. But I mean, I do like the fact that it happened where the Red Square happened because that Red Square, I really like that Red Square. So,
yeah, well, you know, you got to remember, like, if something really is going on that's not man-made, you know, Vandenberg's a really good spot because it's fairly desolate around there. I mean, there's little cities right there, but it's a lot of land going lengthwise along the coast. And then you just have ocean, so nothing. So it's a easy way to do these things and not be seen, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot of open area.
Yeah.
Especially back then, people didn't just have the types of cameras and lenses we have today that are available.
True.
So
it's very true.
I don't know. I believe the story. I need more questions answered, of course, but I've
that part
from reading this tonight and seeing stuff in the past, I believe them. I don't know that I believe it's a disc-shaped object or not. I mean, we need more, but yeah. 1964. You have an obscured story of your own? Shoot us an email, obscuredr1@gmail.com. Type story in the subject line and let us know your story. We'll tell it for you on here. If you want to come on, you can come on. It's super easy to do. You can be anonymous if you want. Tell your own story and we can talk about it. That will be cool. What do you think?
I think that'd be great.